All right, we loading up Reaper. Got my coffee, cold as an ice cube. We vibing. All right, so what are we doing today? We are learning how to use LEQ. And I want to see. Oh, perfect. Okay, that was what I was hoping. So we have this lovely rhythm guitar that we are going to process. And I'm going to show you my routine for deciding how to EQ something. I'm going to kind of explain what to look for and what I do. So let's solo this rhythm guitar. Those are nothing. That I get everything done on the first take every time. Don't listen to that. Those aren't takes. Those are. I don't know what those are. I suck. Okay. All right. So I played it for a little bit. What's going on is these are both separate performances. And I have comped them together. So this green box right here is a separate take. This is the exact same color, but these are still two different performances. If you look at these waveforms and compare them, they are slightly different. Those, I don't know why those look like the exact same color. I guess they're slightly different, but there are two different performances lined up as best as possible. And one is panned right here. You can see where my cursor is. This is panned all the way to the left, and this is panned all the way to the right. I'll go ahead and solo just the left one. And just the right one. And that is very common for rhythm guitars. Makes a huge difference. But anyway, I am not here for the stereo guitar. I am here for the EQ. So I'm going to throw on a Nova onto this. This is a free plugin called TDR Nova. All right. So first of all, right out of the box, I'm going to hit reset to factory default. When we play the song, when you load up this EQ, this particular EQ, most EQs don't do this, but this has 4 different options for its metering or for its visual feedback. If I click out, we see a graph now. This graph is showing what's going on after we process it. So if you notice, as I bring that down, the graph is adjusting. And that's why I like that, because if we click in, no matter how much craziness we do with the EQ, oh, that actually sounds kind of cool. Dubstep, let's go. I can make dubstep now. All right. I'm retarded. But that's what happens when we put the in. Basically, everything. The graph is showing us everything that's happening before we adjust. Out is showing us the output, everything we adjust afterwards. Anyway, I went on a little bit of a tangent. So, the first thing I'm looking for when we're doing EQ is I am cutting out unnecessary frequencies. I am looking for anything that is there, but it doesn't really represent the sound. Now, let me show you what I mean. If you notice, this is pretty narrow, meaning there's a lot of empty space here, there's a lot of empty space here. And I am going to put a high pass on. A high pass is the same as a low cut. It cuts the lows and lets the highs pass. And you can still hear that information. You can still hear the sound. It doesn't sound different, but the more different sounds you cut unnecessary stuff like that in a mix, the more things are going to fall together. And it doesn't really make a huge difference with one track by itself, like with one sound by itself. But when you start layering a lot of different sounds, that is going to add up quite a lot. The second thing I'm going to do is, because there's a lot of unnecessary space here, I'm going to put a high cut. This is what your neighbor's party sounds like. Oh, neighbors be jamming. Shut the fuck up. Okay. Anyway, I'm having way too much fun. So, when I'm mousing over this is the band that is selected. I am using my scroll wheel to control what is called the Q. It's just the angle of that. It's the angle of the band. I'm going to move this a little bit to the left. So we're cutting a little bit of highs. We're doing it gradually, so we're not doing it right at one frequency like this is. This is a lot more sharp of a cut. I'm going to unsolo this so we can hear the rest of the mix. And I'm going to adjust this some more. All right, that is sounding how I like it. And before I go on, I want to quickly note that you don't always have to cut both sides. You don't have to cut the high end and the low end. You're cutting what is unnecessary. So if there is a sound, like let me go to this lead guitar here. This definitely real lead guitar. Let me go ahead and put an EQ on this real quick. Gonna cut the lows. Sounds really good. Now, I'm gonna cut the highs. And I'm gonna take this out and I'm gonna bring back the entire mix. And I'm going to take off that high cut. And you can hear that that sounds more prominent. I'm going to loop that. Whoops. So, what have we learned from this? There is some high information on the high frequencies in this lead guitar sound that give it a bit of character. It sounds good, and essentially what I'm getting at is this high cut isn't necessarily necessary. On top of all the other sounds, this kind of stands out, which brings me to my general rule of thumb that I consider when I'm EQing anything. Whatever brings out a particular instrument is what we focus on, and what we focus on is what we leave in. Now, what I mean by that is this lead guitar is a very high sound, right? Let me solo this again. Right. Cutting the low information on this, you don't really notice it, and it's kind of unnecessary. It doesn't need to be there. However, when I cut this high end, completely gone. Which, that isn't to say we can't cut just a little bit of it. Very subtle, but I'm leaving this as is because I feel like that high fizz is part of what makes this sound. And so whatever brings this sound out, whatever defines the character of a sound, we leave in. So let's go back to this rhythm guitar. Right here. All right. So the next thing I look for after I've decided what frequencies I want to cut, I'm looking for any frequencies that I think bring out the sound, and I'm going to boost them. So let me show you what I'm going to do. Is I have this band selected, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what's called a sweep. So I have the sound. Now I'm going to boost the frequency, and I'm going to go from all the way to the left, all the way to the right. And I'm looking for a sound that I like or that I think brings out this sound. I like that frequency right there, and so I'm gonna boost that frequency. Now I also noticed that this sounds really good when I cut it. And I'm gonna drop that back into the mix. I'm liking how that sounds. That's essentially what I'm looking for in an EQ is is there sounds that don't need to be there. Um, and we cut those. In this case, there was a lot of the low and some of the high that I didn't like. There was a frequency right here that I liked, and there was a frequency that I thought sounded better without just a little bit of this. And that's basically what I'm doing when I EQ is I'm going per sound, but in the context of all the sounds together because I soloed that sound to understand that particular sound, but I brought the entire mix in so that I can hear what that sound sounds like on top of everything else. I hope that makes sense. Happy producing. Good luck. Make some sweet jams. Let me know if you got any questions. I am more than willing to answer questions and help you guys out. Have a good day. Bye.